Hey guys, it's Matt for Antihero magazine, and I'm joined today by David Andersson, guitarist for Soilwork and Night Flight Orchestra. How are you, my man?
Good, nice to be here.
Thank you very much. And you've not played the main stage yet, Soilwork. So you excited? How are you feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice day, and it's always nice to play in the afternoon.
Yeah.
While everyone's still energetic and.
And Soilwork, one of the biggest probably melodic death metal bands to come out of Sweden, I'd say. And you've got another Swedish melodic death metal band headlining tonight, Monomath. Yeah. Have you worked with those guys before? Do you know them?
I don't know them personally, but I know like Jörn, our singer. He knows them better than I do. I mean, they're friendly. It's like we say hi when we see them. It's like, we haven't worked with them.
Oh, okay. Would you like to?
Yeah, sure. I mean, they're way bigger than we are at this point. So.
And from Sweden, especially where you're from, during the 90s was like the hotbed of melodic death metal. So, do you consider yourself to be part of a movement? And what was that movement like when the band was starting out?
Well, I wasn't in the band back then.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So, but yeah, I guess Soilwork is absolutely one of the 5 or 6 bands from that era that's still active, and I guess Soilwork we have our own unique place in that movement, I guess.
Yeah.
And if you look at some of those US bands that has come out in the past 10 years, you can obviously hear quite a bit of Soilwork influences in their music. So I guess Soilwork has. We have something unique.
Yeah. And as we mentioned at the top of the podcast, you're also the guitarist for Night Flight Orchestra as well. Yeah. So with Soilwork, do you ever find yourself getting bored of the all-out extreme metal that you make and longing for something different?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I've been playing all kinds of music during my career, and I was classically trained from the beginning, and I played jazz and stuff like that as well, and played in lots of different bands and doing lots of strange session work. I can speak for all of us. Our musical tastes are quite broad, and we listen to all kinds of stuff. So it's more it's not that we. It's great playing metal, and it's great playing classic rock as well. It's just it's always nice to shake things up a bit. And I think that since we started the Night Flight Orchestra, I think we've become more focused on the metal part with Soilwork. I mean, it's not like we're not an extreme band compared to the other stuff out there, but I think we've before we had the Night Flight Orchestra, I think especially Björn was a bit frustrated that he wasn't able to live out all his fantasies vocal-wise.
Yeah.
Whereas now we have the Night Flight Orchestra, and we can do all the cheesy stuff that we can't really do in Soilwork. So it's kind of nice to have an outlet for all of that.
How different is it as a guitar player going between Soilwork and Night Flight Orchestra? Is one easier than the other?
Yeah, I mean, when you play metal like Soilwork, people are expecting you to play pretty much everything the way it is on the record.
Yeah.
And of course we're two guitarists, and it's a lot about doubling riffs and stuff. Whereas with the Night Flight Orchestra playing classic rock, you're always it's a bit more loose. You're a bit free to. You don't have to. You can improvise a bit more, because it's not like you. With Soilwork, if I start playing something different when we're playing the same riff, 2 guitars and bass, you can't really start improvising in the middle of that. So it's a bit more. It's a whole different sense of freedom playing classic rock, but at the same time you miss that. If I didn't play metal, I'd miss that that powerful thing when you play something really
the proper
heavy,
that guttural feeling you get.
Yeah.
And I interviewed your lead singer Bjorn a couple months ago, and he said songwriting for the new Soilwork album would begin sort of around summertime.
Yeah.
It's summer now, so has any progress been made on that?
Yeah, we have a few ideas, and we're in the process of discussing what kind of direction we want to go in with the next album and everything. But it's always like that. We've been busy touring, and the whole summer has been like every weekend during the summer we've played festivals pretty much.
Right. Okay.
So it's like we haven't really had time to sit down and start doing any serious work, but we have a few ideas, and I think it will start. We'll start like to really focus on that like later this year after the festival summer is over.
Yeah. Are you a band that has to be in the studio to write, or can you write outside of that environment as well?
Yeah, we mostly write everything at home.
Okay.
These days it's mostly me and Björn doing most of the writing, and Sylvana and Sven do the occasional song as well. But we do our ideas at home and do like rough demos, and me and Björn we do sit down together every once in a while and do a bit more like old school collaboration and come up with stuff together. So that's nice. But so once we get to the studio, we pretty much have a plan.
Yeah.
As boring as it may sound, but it's also that's also a difference between the Night Flight Orchestra and Soilwork, because if you play metal, you can't really fool around that much in the studio because you have to like quad track all the guitars and it's a whole different process. Whereas if you play like classic rock, you don't have that metal framework that you have to like keep in there. We're pretty much we're not a studio. Like we don't improvise in the studio that much.
Right. So it's a lot more rigid with Soilwork then. Yeah. When you're writing for Soilwork, what are the priorities? Is it like the melodies, the guitar work? What takes priority for you when you're writing songs?
I mean, when I write for Soilwork, it's mostly coming up with good and interesting guitar riffs and melodies and stuff like that. I mean, in almost every band I've ever been in, I've always been the main songwriter, so I'm kind of used like writing both the music and the vocal melodies and the lyrics. But with Soilwork, I mean, Björn is still his vocals are such a big part of the band, so mostly he's still doing the vocal melodies. But I've done a few lyrics and a few things like that for Soilwork as well. But obviously it's much more guitar focused when I write for Soilwork. Whereas for the Night Flight Orchestra, I usually write the whole song. Like I write the music and the vocal melody and the lyrics. So that's a big difference. But I think my favorite. Are you familiar with the band Winger?
I've heard of them. I've not heard their music.
They were a great cheesy 80s metal band, but seriously, they were great musicians. But they were cheesy as well. but the guitarist Reb Beach, who is now in Whitesnake, I read an interview with him in Guitar World back in like '89, and he said like, if you write a great riff, you should feel like James Bond when you play it, like James Bond jumping from the Eiffel Tower or something. That's that's very much the thing that every guitarist try to achieve when writing a riff. It's like you should feel cool playing it. It sounds cheesy, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, it makes sense, man. So in Soilwork, when you're up on stage, when you're playing through the set list, what riff makes you feel most like James Bond? What gives you that what gives you that feeling most of all when you're on stage?
I think I still really like the verse riff from Ride Majestic.
Yes, that's a good one.
Stop and start.
That's a good riff. I love it. Yeah.
It's Björn wrote that, and it's still. I think it's very simple, but it's genius.
It gets the job done.
Yeah.
It gets the job done. One last question before we wrap up. Obviously, we have Megadeth headlining on the Sunday, and there's a bit of a traitor in our midst when it comes to Megadeth, because Dick Verburen is on drums. I just wanted to ask, with his exit recently, how did that affect the band? Did you all part on good terms, or was it a bit?
Yeah,
ugly?
I mean, we're still like on good terms, and there's no hard feelings whatsoever. I mean, of course, if you're a drummer and you get an offer to play with Megadeth, I mean,
you take it.
Yeah, who could blame him? I mean, so we're all just really happy for him. I mean, he's a fantastic drummer, and he seems to really enjoy himself. So we're all really happy for him, and we have a great replacement in Bastian, our current drummer, and he's a great guy, and he has his own like take on things, and I think the next album will be really interesting because he's obviously he's a metal drummer, but he still has some different influences than Dirk, and a different he's a different musician. So it's going to be interesting, and I mean, we're all happy for Dirk's sake, and like I said, who can blame him?
Who can blame him?
Yeah.
Excellent. I always love ending on a positive note. So everyone, go and pick up the new Soilwork album, The Ride Majestic. It's absolutely fantastic. Until then, David Andersson, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers, man.